I'm not late, you're late. But anyway, hi, welcome back to more Great Ace Attorney. We're continuing the adventure of the Runaway Room. We just met Gina Lestrade, and she's great. Gosh, I don't remember what voice I gave Gina.
And so I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always.
Hooked up the horses.
But it was a right old waste of time. Got nothing to show for it. Me troubles that night. I'll tell ya, I can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. The scream just came out. It's 'cause of that, this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded.
Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact.
How?
As I'm sure I said before, sir.
I was sitting right on top of the place when where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for.
This is where I sat that night.
The cubbyhole for which you have spoken is underneath this seat, I presume. Yes. It does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Give me a sec, sorry. Sorry about that.
Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration.
Ah.
So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent.
Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question.
Not at all, my lord. Not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman.
Wow, that came out significantly better than I thought that it was going to. My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
I like her little top hat. Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury, consensual in their leaning to a verdict of not guilty. Wow, that was a hell of a sentence.
Mr. Naruhodo, well, it must mean
Must mean what?
that we're victorious.
We've won? Are you sure?
Objection!
The boot slam. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day. Emotion? Yo, Sachi, how are you doing? It's been a few days, or at least since you've made your presence known. The foot! You came in at just the right time to see the boot. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. Yeah, I saw that. I hope that you're at least feeling a little bit better. Like, it's the worst. What do you mean, his true nature? You really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. Feeling way better today, been out of bed all day at least. That's good. The first couple days when you've got it is just like, goddamn, I just need like 3 days to just sleep. And that's what I did when I caught it, is that I legitimately was like, I'm not going into work. I don't want to give this to anyone. I'm gonna sleep for 3 days straight. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It is noted in black and white here on the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Order! Order! How can such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, Counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure. Young gentlemen would be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. Now this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zeeks. Well, Counsel, you have something to say on this matter. How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I didn't look. Sorry, I'm a failure. I didn't look. I couldn't lie and pretend that I had. Perhaps I credited you with too much intelligence. It seems, my lord, that this Eastern initiate is as unreliable as wine from the barrel. Wow.
Mr. Naruhodo. Well now, it would seem the argument is moot. And the truth of the matter is there for yous all to see, after all. That there cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here?
I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. The compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. Guild's rules state that the omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Hippo isn't that irresponsible. And the money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Also, can we talk about how the trial should have already been stopped? Like, the judge should have already made his verdict because of the rules of the court, but Van Zieks is just breaking the rules. Gina's a good bean, she'd never lie. Yeah, she's great. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, the lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, the verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Van Zieks, you don't get to have a summation examination. Like, that was specifically a defense's right. You shouldn't be able to do this. Yeah. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, you should really stop telling me how to do my job. There's the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, I beg you, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. You missed the fact that it was only for the defense? I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that fact, right? I would check, but they explained it to me so long ago. It's not even in my court. They explained it to me yesterday, so it's not in my court record. But I'm pretty sure that the exact phrasing on the way that Susato tells you about it is she's just like, there's a thing that the defense can do if this happens. And so I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses like always. But it was a right old waste of time. Got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell ya, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped. Oh wait, whoops! I forgot. I'm supposed to be pressing. Hold it! So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run. Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point in spending a Joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, innit? I wish I could do a better British accent, because I can't do a British accent. I suppose she means there's no point in spending money to make money. Actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up a little mystery of the fares and all. Van Zieks got really... Your Honor, I demand a summation examination against the defense. Why do all of you vote not guilty?
4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20th to which the cabman making the 20 to which the cabman testified. Wow, stop, please. And 1 little scapegrace, riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before its last run. See? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right?
But your hiding place is a storage compartment.
Math, the enemy of streamers.
Full of equipment for the coach, no?
Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much.
And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia.
Well, I don't know nothing about that. Just like I said, I moved all the stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you.
Seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue.
But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show me Wow. Nothing to show for me troubles that night.
I think it's the old, like...
Hold it!
It's the way that they phrase their sentences that just doesn't gel with how my brain wants to speak. A waste of time? Why is that?
Well, most nights, I'm on me own in the God permit,
I'm on me own in the God permit at least some of the time.
What?
What is that sentence? I genuinely don't even know what that, like, how that sentence is supposed to flow or what that even means. I beg your pardon. Did you say God permit?
Oh yeah. Well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while.
And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away?
That's it. Only that night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck.
You mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time, while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin?
Yeah. Right, mister?
To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit, then.
I'll tell ya. You can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there.
Hold it! I'm slipping into like a southern accent almost with Gina, and I don't like it. So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all.
Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head. And look out the crack. And then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle.
You're a pickpocket, not a butcher.
I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head.
And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up and peek out, I see.
The truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages. And so it's
Obson's? Obson's choice?
Obson's choice.
Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor.
And so anyways, I was a bit scared. But I had to just stick it out under there. Nothing else for it. And then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of me skin, I did. And the scream just came out.
Hold it! When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor?
Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump.
And you let out a scream, involuntarily.
That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden.
Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim. Could it not? Well, girl, you see what happened did you see what happened at that crucial moment?
Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke, what had fallen on the floor and Flora on the seat opposite.
Gosh, these two are going to be the end of me. I cannot read their dialogue. It's so hard.
That matches Mr. McGilded's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I never should have risked looking. It's because of that the swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Hold it! And when Mr. McGilded discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place.
I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on a seat and all.
Next to the dead person? Yeah, next to the victim, Mr. Mason?
Yeah. And the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and I ended up falling on... and he ended up falling onto me. How awful. And both my hands got covered in blood. Made me feel sick as a dog.
Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passengers saw. Just think about Rex Xenoblade. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilded for a while, is that correct?
He asked me some stuff. He wanted to know my name and what I was up to and that. And then I heard someone from up above. Someone screamed.
Yes, Mr. First, on the roof deck, one would presume.
Well, I didn't want anyone seeing my face, and so I didn't look up. And then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent.
For one brief shining moment, yes. Wait a sec, shouldn't the trial have been stopped?
It's clear that they're all still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want.
Yes, I think you're right. I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Okay, so... I'm inside the carriage where they hooked up the horses, just like always. It's a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. Whoops. Storage compartment, but there's nothing here. So back outside then. It's a roof deck. Already read that. Huh. I genuinely don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing here. I've already checked this. I'm actually kind of stumped here.
Hold it!
Still loud bang. Can't see a thing in that hiding place.
Hold it!
Jot. Up.
Well, now.
Oh, this is new.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps. You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. It was nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad. Shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. Still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear that much louder as well.
Yeah. I suppose it does. Maybe.
Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps?
Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
Jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue.
Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? Screw it, it's profoundly important. Add it to the testimony. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. Don't mind me, I'm just coughing up a lung. I'm almost sure I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless... Miss Gina Lestrade. Will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please.
What?
Supperment?
Supperment? What do you want about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me.
That's right, insult the judge. Always a good move.
I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring.
Hold it! So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself.
Not exactly, no.
Sorry?
Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw this swell gent getting on, I got my head down so he didn't notice me.
And Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct?
Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug. And so then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though he stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. And so I just had to stay put, listening to...
Oh.
I'm driving his pigs to the market, snoring like an old dog he was.
Rhyming slang is very... yeah. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? Doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, what you've just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I had feared. So Van Zeeks realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilded snoring. Think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person.
Take that!
Thrice fired, Mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct?
Yeah, of course I was. Got on while the driver was at the pub, didn't I?
And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure.
And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
Nah. Never heard it. It's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah. We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did, or did not hear, is at odds with the facts. Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry for having to stop so often. I guess it's about time for me to put a break game in here so I have a day to recoup my voice. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zeeks. Yes. He knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. That's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? Makes no sense whatsoever. This girl's a pickpocket, let's not forget that. She didn't even say anything.
I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she had some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
Neither can I. Mr. Foreman. Didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. I think we should have the judge throw out 3/4 of the jury. Because 3/4 of them are biased.
Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty.
Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Yes, very refreshing.
Ah. Yeah, what are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for? You useless Eastern Amadan? This carnage, it's perfect.
Juror number 2 is the only one left.
Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going,
I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. No, you have another. You can throw summation examinations at them until they give up.
I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel?
I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean?
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my adjudication. Wow. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. Yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Van Zeeks, use your brain. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. Oh wait, maybe that was he put there. He was put there after he died. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for us all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there's no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. right, counsel. Defense will identify the location for the court. Because the prosecution and the judge and the jury have a combined 2 brain cells between the 7 of them, or the 8 of them. Here is the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However,
Objection!
the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained. It's the sound of the victim falling from his seat, having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witness describes? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact. Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
You are now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded. To be sure now, the 2 fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case as them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the 2 fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Oh my goodness. Surely not.
Those 2 chaps on the roof? You mean, ones who stuck that knife in the man were... Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer?
You rotter, he said. You rotter. What are you insinuating?
This is a flaming outrage. I've a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute.
He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said. And so will I.
Mr. Fairplay, effectively accusing me, said a gentleman and a well-respected banker.
And me, a very angry hatter.
Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace.
It's scandalous. It's...
I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms.
That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel.
Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But it's beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous.
It's very hurtful, you know.
My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zieks. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witness. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof.
Hey, Squiggles. Accuse? I never intended to... How are you doing?
It seems young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what is termed a baseless accusation.
I'm glad that I make good enough background noise that you can fall asleep to me, Squiggles. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. Yeah, like, friggin', Fairplay has as much motivation to murder McGilded as McGilded has to murder Thrice-Fired Mason. So you can't really call it a baseless accusation now, can you? You can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify.
I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. You have to see this matter through now, one way or another.
If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. What's happening, Mr. Naruhodo? Spectators in the public gallery are in a complete frenzy.
Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward.
The only two people up on that roof deck that are alive, I can swear to that.
If anything had happened while we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed?
In any case, neither of us knew the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it.
If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that listening up to this testimony, it's somewhat hard to imagine. Either witness could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck, without the other noticing forthwith. That's right. You see?
We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another.
What?
Yeah.
According to the investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings.
Ha! Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial's going in our favor, really.
So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense. Over to you. Your cross-examination, please.
Oh, yes, my lord.
Can I examine the omnibus better? Can I look at the latch here? Because the latch is on the outside for some reason. Certainly see inside the carriage from that opening. There's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. They're saying that the angle that it's going is that they're thinking that these two are colluding with each other, and they killed Thrice-Fired Mason and pushed him through the skylight because the latch is on the outside, so they could have opened the skylight to dump him down into the carriage. We're the only two people up on that roof deck, dead or alive, I can swear to that. Hold it! So, at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not, Dickon.
No question about it, he said. Not at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin, talking with this man here.
Is this true, Mr. McGilded?
Dear me, my lord. At the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone. Nodded off inside almost immediately.
It's an outright lie. Without doubt you were engaged in...
Let me stop you there, fella, and ask. Do you have any evidence at all? At all?
Ah.
'Tis all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. So you do well to remember that.
I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well.
If anything had happened while we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed?
Hold it! Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus, at past 10 o'clock in the evening. So which witness is secretly a police officer? Oh, whoops. It would certainly have been quite dark. Perhaps too dark to see clearly? It's some kind of lark.
Is this some kind of joke, he said? Is that what this is?
Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly. You fair dinkum, sir.
You serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you.
I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. If you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut, and you'd never open them again.
That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and didn't hear you at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. Now, it was a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising. Seeing things? Seeing things?
I believe we've reached an impasse here on this particular point.
You...
Don't take it personally now, lad. I'm a suspect in this case, and it's only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about. Oh, he's guilty. Banished to jail. I've changed my mind. Sentence him to death.
This isn't a competition. This isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really.
In any case, neither of us knew the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man.
Hold it!
I feel like that point feels like where I should be feels like where I should be presenting evidence, and I should present the, this, because I feel like it might be... Yeah, exactly. I think that it's one step removed from what the game's logic wants, because technically speaking, yes, but that piece of evidence doesn't quite show that. It's always really weird trying to figure out some of the, like, specific logic that the game wants you to take. So you'd never met Thrice-Fired Mason before. Oh, no! Not once, never!
You'd never met the man before, he said. Never.
And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either.
That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir.
No, I imagine not. See, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who were inside the cabin.
That's right. This is about motive, and we had none.
No motive, Ace Attorney and Danganronpa be like, how dare you be ahead of my logic? Yeah.
And, well, that's not all, is it?
I'm gonna, follow that point up with McGilda in a bit. So that was on statement 3.
Skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it.
This also feels like a contradiction because the latch is on the outside.
Hold it!
Are you quite certain about that? That skylight was shut the entire time. Going to lose my block with you in a minute.
He's gonna lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said.
Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now, like it was on the night.
So it is. Of course. A fellow the size of Mr. Mason could likely break right through, still and all.
What?
Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand?
Now you hold there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we?
Stop biting our cane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens.
It's an unexpected confession, Mr. First.
Oh, I just mean to say, well, point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see? But, just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as a rogue, I did.
Wait, R-O-U-G-E. Is that rogue or rouge? I think that's rouge. Because rogue is R-O-G-U-E. You expecting me to sentence you?
Oh no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside that cabin of shame.
Okay, so a statement 3 and 4. Skylight doesn't open, you say?
So that proves it. We couldn't have kicked the victim down into the cabin below. I tell you, neither of us could.
Nobody mentioned anything about kicking anyone. Like I said, these details are little nuggets at best. It's the motherlode we should be looking for. You're so sure the victim fell through the skylight. Where's your proof?
Hold it!
Proof. That's right, I demand to hear it.
We came here to say what we saw, I tell you, not for this.
You can call it... would you call us both shysters? I'm familiar with the term shyster, but I'm not familiar with the term shyster. brand us as criminals.
You call us liars, that's what he means, and accuse us of doing it.
As it stands at the moment, there's no hard evidence that incriminates yourselves now, is there? I believe we're in much the same position as one another here. Can't translate that Australian for me. Oh, funny thing, Squiggles, I actually had a conversation with, one of my friends, with, Pine, who does, the Calamity and Terraria and Minecraft streams with me. I had a conversation with them literally yesterday about 2 a.m. Denny's. And we wanted to check to see if our Denny's here in town still had, like, was still open at 2 a.m. It closes at, like, 10. And it makes me sad because 2 a.m. Denny's is, like, an otherworldly experience. I believe we're in much the same position as one another here. Ugh. If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth.
I wonder if these two men really were involved in some way.
Couldn't say, I mean, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Although, by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. I live in a major metropolitan area, so DoorDash has you covered. It's really sad. After 2020, like 99%, like I genuinely think that the only food place that is open 24/7 now where I'm at is Taco Bell. Like McDonald's closes at 10. And it pains me because I work graveyard shifts at my jobs. So I end up not able to get food on my way home. It's so hard to know what to believe here.
I think we should try to remember that it's evidence alone that can truly determine the outcome of the trial.
Evidence. You know, maybe I should start reading Miss 24-Hour Walmart. So do I. Maybe I should start actually reading the line before I start reading. Like, actually reading through it before I start reading out loud.
No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury.
So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, precisely.
Okay, so we have a...
Hold it!
Once, never met the man before. Matters don't.
Well,
Neither of us have the remotest connection to the gentlemen who are inside the cabin.
excuse me.
Mr. McGilded.
Yes, counsel. What can I be doing for you?
Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow?
Not the remotest connection. Is that right now, I wonder?
What are you insinuating now?
Ah, Mr. Fairplay. It has been too long, so it has.
Eh?
If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not? Your repayment date.
I beg your pardon?
You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir.
At an unconscionable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion.
Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off as another.
Maybe he's an angel who fell from heaven and happened to land on a knife. Ugh.
And young Mr. First. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir?
Am I setting First's voice too high?
You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat sliding about on your head. Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand? I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whenever a fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, 'tis a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as thrice-fired Mason. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence for, my lord.
Hmm? Oh, this you mean?
I can't help thinking this poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh! That's one of my hats. Aye, that it is. So it would seem that the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'd wager, you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case.
Oh, you little weasel. Ugh.
He's better at this than I am. Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let my little interruption hold up the proceedings.
Hold it!
Okay. Point is, the skylight can't be opened.
Whoa.
I tried and tried when I was inside that cabin of shame.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade. It opens.
Hmm?
The skylight. It's what we're talking about, right?
I love that this smoke grenade is break action. Like, there's something goofy to me about the fact that the barrel folds down.
All of them skylights open. Dead easy.
More easily than you can load that weapon? Who the F is she? She's great. She was stashed underneath the seat that McGilded was sitting on. And she is the greatest. She's a pickpocket.
It's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh!
In the courtroom or the carriage? She was stashed in the under the seat in the omnibus carriage. She also fired off a smoke grenade in the courtroom.
Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof stacks, and one of them drags. And I had a great haul. I mean, I had purses coming out of my ears.
Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. No, we proposed a possibility and McGilded corroborated it. And she apparently was in the... She was in the gallery.
Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted when I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. And so what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through.
What?
Yeah, and the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin.
She was our mysterious fifth passenger? Yeah. Skylight opens from the roof deck? She didn't pay to get on, though, so the statement about Beepo overcharging was correct still. Bailiff, climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once. Verify this witness's claims. It's right there, you can see it. Ah, oh, my hat!
And see.
Order! 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 So it appears that the street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck.
Mr. Naruhodo. This could be the clue we've been looking for.
Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Skylight was fastened shut before.
And now the catch has been undone. We should be able to open it.
I wonder if I'm supposed to open this and then investigate from the inside. Also, give me a second. Is it just you, or are these cases longer? This case has actually been significantly shorter.
Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo.
Why someone like me?
Ah!
What is it?
Look, just here. Look at this.
That's without question.
It's blood.
Why would there be a blood stain there?
Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then.
Yeah, the omnibus as evidence. I think that this is really cool. Like, this is a cool way to make you not have to do investigations for this case. And I think that it's really cool that because of the whole smoke grenade situation earlier, and stuff appearing in the omnibus afterward, it's kind of an unreliable piece of evidence. Because you don't really know what's been tampered with or not.
Objection!
This game does a lot of really cool things from what I've seen. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterward, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts. And the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today, in this very courtroom. Scientific investigation. Thank you for the stretch and the hydrate. What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence.
No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible.
Irrefutable proof. Here, in this courtroom. Counsel?
My lord.
I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is the evidence to which you allude? We'll point out what it is that proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight.
Got it!
By Jupiter! Is that blood?
This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open.
What?
And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening.
Oh my.
And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime.
No! Order! Hold it! But... The blood could have sprayed up when that fellow was stabbed inside the cabin.
Only found its way to that one particular spot on the skylight. Sure, and that would be very convenient. Let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. Myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But, there's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gent really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin in between the two seats, Mr. First? "'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height. Right there, so it is."
What? No!
But it can't be. It's all lies.
Hold it! My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we?
I believe we can. Yes, sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, did they?
I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it.
Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing.
On three, then, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Objection! Chilling performance, Mr. McGilded.
Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zeeks?
Bloodstain on the frame of the skylight. Such evidence is null and void.
What? Why?
Because I said so. For one extremely simple reason. That a smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety, no such smear of blood had existed in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But are you suggesting, Lord Van Zieks, that the stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes. And while this court has been in session.
What? What a palaver. I must say, I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zieks. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital for his fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling out off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey.
Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts.
Adapt the facts? What does that even mean?
When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir.
Tut-tut, Lord Van Zieks. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel?
Oh, no.
I think it's fair to say, this does all sound rather like, sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. Blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But, if yous will all cast your minds back, is it not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, counsel?
It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time that court has been in session. My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words.
Van Zieks' voice is so much fun to do. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best as I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There's no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility.
Oh. Gracious. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nepalese friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit?
I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we were forced to take.
as a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Gina Lestrade. What's going on?
Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face.
Bailiff, do not let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear out of the courtroom.
The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, ye rotten, feckless gouger? Feckless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection! Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies, such as... To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I've said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zieks, no one is able to corroborate your claims.
That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut.
Accordingly, I'm afraid to say, we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things.
What do you think?
Sorry?
About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus?
Don't mind me, I'm just making a confidence save. Because I'm absolutely confident. I have an inkling. My lord.
Yes, counsel?
There's one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial.
What?
What in the devil's name are you going to say now? You dare betray me, you little maggot. You'd better start watching your back.
Objection! Silence, McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification.
This trial keeps swinging one way then the other. I have no idea what's the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here?
I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is this alleged mark that you claimed appeared at some point during the trial?
Got it!
If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this blood stain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom.
Good lord. Yes, you believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that evidence is fake.
This trial is over.
Mr. McGilded?
I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it is all over now.
But you're the defendant.
It is over, I tell ye. Memory, recollection, what do people think they saw? It is all nonsense. The facts are what counts, and the fact is, that bloodstain is there now.
Well,
And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I'd thought better of Lord Van Zeeks. Well, my lord.
I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollections of an individual cannot stand as evidence. What about the recollections of two individuals? At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question was very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue.
Your lordship can't be serious.
Lord Van Zeeks, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. Why is this word such a trip-up for me? As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first.
What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilded will be found not guilty.
Yes.
Which would mean we've won.
Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? That's for the defense. Your closing statement, please.
Yes, my lord. The defense believes.
The defendant could be guilty. I'm here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot, in all good conscience, attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there's no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there's also no conclusive evidence to prove that he's innocent. Good gracious me! Order! This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocence into question. Are you of sound mind?
Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was. A grand decision.
What?
I must say, I didn't expect quite an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Your job here is done, fella, and some fine work you've done, so you have.
What do you mean?
'Tis just as the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it before. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality.
I don't know what to make of all this. You have stated people guilty for less than this. Is the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake?
His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said.
The stinking rich are always guilty of something. You mark my words.
I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park.
Now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I'm compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea.
Thank you kindly, my lord.
I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court.
Objection!
But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth.
Lord Van Zieks, my lord, the case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection!
But wait. When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zieks ordered the evidence to be secured.
I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this manner.
That's so unfair.
The culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What?
Well, Lord Van Zieks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense.
You mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time?
'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law.
Magnus McGilded.
Good grief, you've more to say to me, have you?
Just one thing. A warning. This is far from over.
Well, something to be looking forward to, then.
I hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded, not guilty. Unfortunately. Is that Detective Gumshoe from the future? Is that Tobias Gregson?
That's a character we haven't met yet, but can't believe it. It's an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent.
If the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day. The judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end. With the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us.
That certainly was a long trial.
Yes, it was.
Your first ever trial on foreign soil, and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations.
And to you, Miss Susato. Thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. Trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened.
Well, we didn't have enough time.
But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that.
The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection.
Aye, that he did. Mr. McGilded. Ah, and that girl is with him, too.
Well, it seems the stories are true.
Oh, what stories?
But the 6 enormous fireworks they do be letting off if there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure yous must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say?
Yes, definitely.
I'd heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I have you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything.
What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of here a free man, then?
Hope McGilded gets kicked in the shins really hard. McGilded, you are hereby sentenced to razor scooter to the shin.
What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there a free man, then?
I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning.
You're a straight-talking fella, aren't ye? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Ah, 'tis water under the bridge.
Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared.
But nothing's resolved.
There's only one thing that matters to me.
Oh? Van Zeke's the Reaper and Ryunosuke the Razor Scooter. I hereby deliver the verdict of Razor Scooter to the ankle. Delivered post haste. Sound effect of like McGilded getting hit in the ankle with a razor scooter, and just screaming.
Oh? Aye. They've all seen that I didn't do that odious and abstinent deed. 'Tis grand, is it not?
I suppose it is.
Now the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it was. They'll get to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay.
You know, something about that statement doesn't sound right. I don't think you pay your taxes, buddy. It's not that funny.
So then, as we agreed aforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella.
Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much.
Arby whist. You're a humble people, are ye? You from the East. Well, if you insist. But have this, still and all. You deserve a reward.
Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir. You'd like to follow me into the courtroom? To the courtroom?
What's this, officer? 'Tis sooner than I was led to believe.
Hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule.
Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection.
Sorry? What inspection?
They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. Asked if I could be present for it myself.
They're going to examine it again? Now?
Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing me best to help where I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a well of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain.
And there he goes. A free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too.
Don't move.
Or as I want to say, get a move on. It really does take forever to load that thing. Miss Lestrade, would you mind putting that thing down?
You're grown up.
Sorry?
And I ate all grown-ups.
Oh. I don't know why, but this gives off Herlock vibes. Ah, there you are. Oh. That was a really good impression of Herlock.
Naughty, naughty, running off like that.
Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now?
And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Huh.
Okay, so I already know who this is, by the way, but like, I do not remember her. I do not remember her very well because most of what I know her from is from the fourth case, and I don't remember the fourth case, like, at all.
Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me.
Excuse me, but who are you?
Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
The inventor?
Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it should at least be a pretty color, I thought to myself.
Do you have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all?
I just took my eyes off it for a moment, whilst I was changing into a different omnibus. And she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon.
What's it, what? I have no idea what this girl was talking about.
Anyway, you're coming with me now. Back to my laboratory. What for? To apologize, of course, silly. To my technician. What? You mean, say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults.
I wish that I could... There's no way to hide the UI in this game, is there? I would use this as a thumbnail if I could hide the text box.
Come along then, follow me.
Gina's being abducted at bazooka point.
Fine, have it your way. Oh good, you see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end.
I'm fairly sure that what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours.
be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss.
She was a lively one.
Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now, too?
Yes, you're right. But where to?
Oh,
We haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All of our traveling cases were still at the bailiff.
I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings.
But at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck.
Don't worry, though. I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night.
Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded Park.
I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through.
That's a very Maya line. I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one.
Oh dear. That doesn't sound agreeable.
Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room, or a mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, and we're 3 cases into the game without a single proper investigation segment, and I could not be happier about it. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned, the case was far from over.
What's going on? Get the fire brigade! Water! Bring water, quick! What the? How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating. No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
This can't be.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction,
End of statement.
that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo?
No, not at all.
It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious. I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gaslights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night.
What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Bureau, I wasn't gonna waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other.
Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare.
Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive, and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking.
In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill.
I really am sorry.
Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodgings straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less.
London is a scary place. Good morning to you at this early hour. That's not... I slipped into Van Zeke's voice there, but... Oh, yes, well...
Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We've come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday.
Susato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices.
Oh yes,
It was very eye-opening, thank you.
and in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end.
Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome a young talent from such a remote eastern island.
Thank you very much.
So I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem.
Another case, already?
Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. This guy's voice is literally just Van Zeke's voice. I really hope they don't end up in a room together. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I?
It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it.
What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Culpability of the defendant has not at present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment.
Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense.
I like that he's slipping more and more into being gremlin voiced, but I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilded really was innocent.
Mr. Naruhodo,
It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer.
sorry. What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial.
No.
What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Did you know that I am in fact a lawyer? Lord Strongheart, may I show you this? Is this gonna be the same dialogue? Yep, it is. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No.
How could such a thing have happened?
It is being investigated as we speak, but already, police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGilded.
That's awful.
The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere.
The bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened?
It is also being investigated as we speak.
Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus.
Okay, have a good night, Sachi.
Well, I must be making tracks now. Tis time for the inspection.
Sorry? What inspection?
We're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself.
An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage.
But then who is Mr. McGilded talking about?
Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police.
Poor Mr. McGilded.
So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow. Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity?
How is this pronounced? Solemnity?
Of Great Britain's long history. That word is dumb. It really is a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old.
Wow, Susato-san has such a way with words. Solemnity?
And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones.
The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can.
Most advanced in the world, is it?
It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair.
Simple? That was simple?
As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose.
I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple.
The circumstances of that case were so incriminating. I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict.
Is something funny?
No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I've prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before.
What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me. It's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes?
Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different.
Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? Everyone's been reading your mind, Ryunosuke. I'm reading your inner thoughts right now.
That is to say, no one has died. As yet. The trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise.
So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. I genuinely, like... I know that Susato's voice keeps changing, but it's less my inability to do, like, voices consistently, and it's more just I genuinely don't know what I want Susato's voice to sound like. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial.
Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there's currently no one to advocate for the defense.
Oh!
If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome.
The most terrible end awaits the defendant.
Yes, that's right.
Here we go again.
Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits.
Sammy mentioned 23 hours. He said there was plenty of time.
And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There's something I should like to ask you.
Oh, what's that?
Yesterday you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Osogi. I would be interested to hear exactly what you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds.
Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked, so we could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing.
Oh,
Another thing? Continue.
On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me.
Something very important that I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be?
He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he ever made it to Great Britain.
We're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion.
Mr. Naruhodo, what's What's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me.
I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to appraise you of the details.
How long has he been there?
So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell.
There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean?
I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think?
Yes, you're right.
I hope I'm just imagining it. I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know. Susato-san told me it was foolproof. Busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having the likes of you. I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Infinite fish. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. You imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen that Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. Not because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well.
I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
It's unseasonably fine, I'll grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable! How did she pull that off? I actually don't know what I want Gregson's voice to be like. So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. I guess I'm gonna go with a bit of a Gumshoe voice, even though he's not a Gumshoe character. Name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard.
Gregson? Inspector Gregson?
What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her?
Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson?
You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective.
Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact.
Very well.
Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Ranced Magazine?
That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry.
Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes. That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time.
Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot in all of the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words.
That's his highest praise?
Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see.
But he's not. Thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Huh. I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors?
Are you quite sure?
It's changed since he started appearing in those stories. Name's gone to his head, stuff like that.
Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you?
Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work.
Oh dear. Perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people.
So, about the case that Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Did you just put that entire thing of fish and chips in your pocket? Do you have like a spare supply of pocket fish and chips, Gregson? Is it like Joker's pocket coffee? None to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler.
Oh dear. That probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated.
I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious.
That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind?
I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, would you?
That's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo.
Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. I've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. Barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit.
Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question.
Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barak von Zeeks. No! Like you've heard of him, then?
Oh yes, we're very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself.
The Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Barak von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday.
Mr. McGilded told us about him before the trial, didn't he?
Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution. They call him... Or wait, this is McGilded.
When Van Zeeks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs.
In every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname, I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it?
Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty.
And what of it?
Oh, well, I think... that means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant.
Oh, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah, Magnus McGilded came to a cropper in the omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightfully say you saved the defendant, can you?
What are you saying?
Look, Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone. He'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you.
Are we really supposed to believe that?
Right, well, I filled you in as requested. And I'm very nearly out of chips. No, you're not. You have an infinite...
It's like a D&D magic item. Newspaper of infinite fish and chips.
So we're heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there.
It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place?
That's correct, ma'am. You head over to the holding cells. You can meet the criminal himself.
You've branded him a criminal already?
He's as good as. Chicken like a leaf in his cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle, if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way.
Inmate 53. Thank you. I'm not gonna remember your voice later when we meet back up with you. I hope that you understand that, Mr. Gregson. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say.
Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too.
But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine that he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny.
So...
If I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try. So I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help?
Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant.
Thank you. So then, shall we?
Yes, let's go.
So these are British prison cells.
Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon.
Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls.
Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse.
Apparently, our client is in this cell here. It's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like.
Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop idling at the back of the cell and come show your face at once.
Am I a cat, as yet with no name? Calling me by a number. It's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think is going on here?
I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Excuse me, but who?
Shh, quiet.
They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. Oh wait, I just slipped into Naruhodo voice. Right. So could I ask you who exactly— There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! A ghost?
We mean you no harm, prisoner-son. Are you... Japanese, by any chance?
This is... beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We're just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. And so hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. I could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese. What compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here.
I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example?
Yes, I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent.
I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy.
Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba.
I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsume. Soseki Natsume. Soseki Natsume-san. What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. It's something of a... nom de plume? Nom de plume? You mean an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo-san.
No. Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? It really reminds me of home.
Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student? Sent over here by the government?
Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery. Now this. It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No. I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something, does it mean you can do it? No.
What do you mean?
If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi.
You must be a man of great standing.
Oh yes, and so I'm often told. And often like to be told, it seems.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san?
I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder.
Murder?
Oh, no. No, it's all right. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife, right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, you think I'd be locked up in here?
Oh dear. It seems that this case is becoming rather complicated.
Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker.
It's vital that we find out more about the case.
It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? Hey Steve, how are you doing? It's been a hot minute, or at least a little bit. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed into the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet.
How terrible.
I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that.
Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours?
Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that. I get no bitches. I'm diffident? Or diffident? I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you, and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
What conundrum? What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum?
Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim, and that there was nobody else on the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen.
I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. You... What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly.
Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested?
Sorry?
He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place?
Oh yes, she's right.
It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck.
Accursed great detective. Could it be?
I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, be gone! May you be cursed until the end of your days, Airlock Sholmes.
I knew it.
Mr. Sholmes.
Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure.
It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. This is the police, put that weapon down. Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils.
Clearly had a trying morning yesterday.
And there it was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Airlock Sholmes.
It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English.
I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really very well known.
Honestly, I would love to get into voice acting. I don't know where to start, honestly.
And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak-stooped kitten of a man.
I wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time.
You mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery.
Flimflammery. Well, we are in England. Can't really blame him for questioning you in English.
Good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear. I'm afraid that's hardly surprising.
I'm fine. It's not fine now.
Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire.
Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough.
Oh yes, alright. Yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you?
Well,
Why is it so hard to say yes to me?
well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour.
A student?
I've defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means.
Oh, Naruhodo-san.
I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose.
But that armband! That's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire.
It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend.
A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers. All the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit.
It must be very hard for you, Saseki-san.
And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say, the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway.
It's awful.
They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. And so, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through.
So, Seki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being.
What do you mean?
We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
We should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for.
How in the world did that only take 8 minutes? That conversation looked like... That conversation felt like it took forever. Holy shit. That bike ain't going anywhere. So this is where it happened. Briar Road.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak.
That is their job, you know.
But Mr. Naruhodo, to see one of them with my own eyes. They're often depicted in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet.
What? The helmet?
Of course. I have to try one on one day.
Well, I hope your Hattie dream comes true. What's the Japanese delegation doing here?
Oh, Inspector Gregson.
This isn't on the tourist trail, as I'm fairly sure you're well aware. Partial to a big helmet. I literally have done art that's just me in a giant witch hat. It's my profile picture on Discord, actually. Actually, I haven't updated my profile picture to the new version. I also haven't posted the new version on my Blue Sky. Are all the cases in this game set in London? The first one was set in Japan, and the second one was set on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Because there wasn't actually any court section in case 2. Case 2 is a really odd case because it's only investigation all over the place. Well, it's cases 3 through 5 are all in London, but it's before you leave for London, on your trip to London, and then while you're in London. And as far as I'm aware, the entirety of the second Great Ace Attorney game takes place in London.
Yes, of course. We're here to investigate.
Into the holding cells, then. What do you make of the criminal?
He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect.
We'll see about that. Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It doesn't bother me. Looks in court tomorrow, whatever happens. The verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone cold air of rejection.
Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone cold air.
That makes it worse somehow.
Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I read about it in The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place.
Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am.
Oh, and you know, I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet.
It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city.
Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
You know, London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you.
Oh, really?
First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the laborers on his beat. They can get off to work.
What?
He wakes people up. Yep. Raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself, going back a bit.
I had no idea.
Bobby works for the people of the town. It's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets. All day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Big helmet on a long pole, your dream, man. I can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way.
Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama.
On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. It's dark, of course. He has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps.
Oh my.
Suppose between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well? Yeah, the music in this game is great.
And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
Not sure you could call it in between exactly. Or alongside, but yes. Expected to handle those jobs as well. You do have men keeling over from time to time, I admit.
I'd always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do so. At around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago. Just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in the hospital. Sorry, that's probably really loud. Never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, We won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area. I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers, defendants, suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still.
Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept.
Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. So who did it, do you think? Not much of a head-scratcher, is it? I'm sorry, Gregson is gonna have like 5 different voices because I genuinely don't know what I want his voice to be. Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but...
But just because you didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can't be sure that nobody else was present.
Sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure.
How?
Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed.
It... what?
2 very reliable witnesses, no less. Gosh, looking at Gregson's fish and chips, I want fish and chips now. Fish and chips are delicious. I don't think I have a good place in town for fish and chips. I genuinely don't know if I have a good place in town for fish and chips, and that makes me sad. It's a typical foggy London day. Your client obviously didn't see them. We're witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. The man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. You're in London, so you have loads of places? Yeah. When I went to England earlier this year, British fish and chips, they hit the spot. Like, I definitely will say though, the best food that I had while I was in England was an Indian place. I had Vindaloo, and I love me some hot food. What country am I in again? I'm in America. It is currently 5:49 a.m. for me, and I have been streaming for 3 hours. Which is actually, Indian places are popular there, yeah. I start stream at around 2:30 most of the time. Though and his wife, the man's one of the most reliable and respectable citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. A policeman? That might change things.
And these policemen just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked.
Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. Actually, I think that might work for Gregson's voice. A little bit of the, like, refined. Some Indian curry dishes were created specifically for UK restaurants. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Here, I'm putting my fish and chips in my pocket so we can speak. My guest, and ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh. I have no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems.
A policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our job very difficult indeed.
Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Wow. I could have warned me of that, too. Oh, yes, one more thing, Inspector. What? Person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The color is drained from his cheeks. Where did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. Wait a minute. Natsume is the name of the company that localized Harvest Moon, isn't it? That might be Natsume. I'm not sure, but they localized Harvest Moon and then stole the Harvest Moon name. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings.
I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Sholmes' inspirational great deductions.
Fiddle faddle. Man's an amateur. I'm getting sick and tired of it. Him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from. He turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yes, he's quite astounding, isn't he?
He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he?
Gibble gabble. Ever seen this before? Oh yes, that's Ranst magazine.
The wonderful publication in which the adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears.
Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees it fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. The so-called Great Detective makes a mockery of all of us. You ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in any of Herlock Sholmes' tale at all.
Well, I suppose there's an element of that.
We work our socks off, every last one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. Man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals.
That can't really be true, can it, Inspector?
Really, a great detective and the police have a complex relationship. Twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. Are you going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution's being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save the man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now.
Yes, we did hear something to that effect.
The only people he usually bothers with are the real scum. Master criminals. The violent ones. Master criminals?
The violent ones?
That's right. He handpicks the victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins.
But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely.
That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. This isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into. For want of a better phrase? Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest.
Really? What sort of reason, Inspector?
Think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? He really does give off Lord of Darkness vibes. He's... Look... Oh wait, he's not in the... Why is he not here? ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? Lord of Darkness, as he put it? Well, I don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective.
Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion?
Oh, yes. What is it?
Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this.
By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly.
Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet with Mr. Sholmes again.
Trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even.
It's Baker Street.
How do you know that?
I've been stalking him. It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world.
Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find our way there before Susato-san gets any more excited and unpredictable.
Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage.
So we're to have a reunion already. The great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
So this is where the great detective makes his living. Feels so real to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Susato-san?
Many famous cases have been solved here, in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. Never read the stories, so it's hard to get quite as excited about this as she seems to be. Same, Ryunosuke.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it. The romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can, yes.
And so if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please, don't mind me.
She's obsessed. Well, it looks like her detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anyone home? I think this is the girl.
Oh, do we have a visitor?
Yeah.
Hello. Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello? Wait. Aren't you...
Oh, how rude of me. I'll go make some tea at once.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Susato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bowaria?
King Wilhelm Gottsreich
Sigismund?
von Ormstein, of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you.
I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too.
Ah, there you are. And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilded's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. And poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Oh, thank you. Is he supposed to look that color?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here, and you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
I'm losing the edge on her voice. Hurley. Mr. Sholmes to you, surely.
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suite? Oh, silly me. I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
Ah, Iris, is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait. This can't be. Did you say that your last name is Wilson?
What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Bruno. Got it. Susie?
And Runo. There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
And the worst part is that those questions will have to wait until tomorrow. So, exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord. !socials if you want to check out my VODs channel or my Blue Sky where I post my art. Otherwise, give me just a moment and we'll find someone to raid. Is Sin streaming? Yes, Sin is streaming. We can pester Sin. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I should either be streaming more of this or Link to the Past Rando tomorrow, because I strained my voice really badly at the end of the last Ace Attorney game that I played, so I'm wanting to take this one a little bit easier. And so far, I'm not feeling the voice fatigue as much, but I am starting to feel it creep up on me a bit, so I might take a break game. But we'll see. Anyway, I guess have a good one, and take care.